All right, let's bring you to this now. With the winter season setting in, some areas around the country are going to experience colder temperatures during the June and July season. The poor and the homeless are usually affected the most during this time. We've roped in Steve Underwood from U-Turn. He's the communications manager there. Steve, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. So your organization primarily deals with the homeless. Give us a sense then about your concerns, particularly around this time of the year.
Hi, Nati. Yeah, so as the winter temperatures drop, get many more homeless clients approaching us, wanting shelter, wanting to get off the street. And so I think it's part of a broader conversation that we need to address the shelter shortages in South Africa. There are far more people living on the street than there are shelters to accommodate them. And I think although this discussion is particularly heightened at winter during the cold, it's the case all year round, and structural change like that takes time. For our shelters, we do try to accommodate more people. We put people sleeping in places where they wouldn't normally sleep, just to increase the sheer number of beds that we have available. But it's a big challenge with the sheer number of clients coming and wanting to get out of the wet and the cold.
And so which organizations then during this time do you have to then rope in, to deal with the scourge of people, of course, coming in and wanting that help, particularly when you consider that, there are government entities that are also meant to step up?
So at U-Turn, we tend to work with local churches who can make their halls available for temporary accommodation. But that really is just a short-term thing while the weather is bad, because obviously those churches need those halls and facilities to carry on their ministries. In terms of government, certainly in the Western Cape, the City of Cape Town do provide a winter readiness assistance. So it's a little bit of extra cleaning products and foods to try to accommodate more people in shelters. But yeah, it's very much part of a broader discussion that we need more shelter, and especially safe space shelter, which is relatively easy and cost effective to erect, and just provides temporary beds where a person is safe from the cold elements and also the risk elements of living on the street, and then allows them to move forward in developmental programs that, for example, U-Turn implement, that allows them to long-term get off the street. But they can't even think about getting off the street long-term as long as they're in the cold and the wet and they're hungry. So they need that shelter first and that relative sense of stability before they can even start to think about the skills and things that they need to develop to move off the street long-term.
And I would imagine that need for shelter, more shelter particularly, is urgent now, given just the recent statistics from Stats SA saying that the number of homeless individuals in the country has soared to over 55,000. I mean, it may not sound like a big number, but it probably is when you consider just how many shelters there are and that not everybody will be helped.
Absolutely. I think, even though we're 5 years on from COVID, the economic effects of COVID are still being felt in society. And a lot of people were forced onto the street because they just couldn't afford rentals or they lost their job. So yes, the number of people living on the street has surged in recent years, and so it is a matter to address. I think even that census data is probably an undercount. There's pretty good academic research showing that most census data is undercounted by a factor of 3 people living on the street. So the true figure is probably more about 150 to 200,000 folk on the street. And yeah, there's just simply not enough shelter in the system to address it.
Absolutely. Speak to us about this transformative framework that you hope will design and empower individuals and other communities. What are you working on?
So for U-Turn, our goal is really a pathway for people off the street. So we have 4 phases of change that starts with change readiness, basic needs, onto drug and alcohol rehab, onto work readiness, and finally graduating independent in the open labor market. So that's our journey of development for our clients to get them off the street. But it all starts with that first phase of assisting people first to get off the street and out of that short-term mentality. We actually have a voucher system called the My Change voucher, and we encourage all members of the public to give My Change vouchers to people they see living on the street, because they can redeem that voucher for meals, a shower, clothing, a bed where it's available. And then they also start that journey off the street. So it connects people living on the street to an organization like U-Turn and our partners MESS, and actually helps our clients to, alleviate their immediate suffering, but also start that journey off the street.
Yeah, and that was going to be my final question in terms of how can South Africans help? Talk to us a little bit about this My Change voucher and how we can obtain it and use it, etc.
So currently it's available in Cape Town and Johannesburg. Viewers can jump on the website MyChange, that's MICHANGE.org. And yeah, it's 50 Rand for a pack of 4 vouchers, and we encourage people to give vouchers rather than giving money. Other people that want to support, I would say look around at your nearest NGO that are assisting with shelter for people living on the streets. Take down extra non-perishable food, blankets, clothing, any kind of bedding at this time of the year is always useful. And then also check out their websites to maybe donate financially, because that helps to provide the professional services that are needed. So social workers, occupational therapists, counselors, those kind of professional services that are also needed at the shelters. So yeah, U-Turn's website is homeless.org.za if any of the viewers want to check us out.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Steve. Steve Underwood is from U-Turn. He's the communications manager. Of course, they look after the homeless in South Africa. All right, let's take a